11:30. I need to figure out a way to talk and monitor the window. My father-in-law has escaped. He went to the coffee shop, which is what he was supposed to do, and then he was supposed to ride out to his house. That we're meeting furniture people today who are going to be taking inventory and taking a lot of furniture this afternoon. So it's sort of a big day, and it's tiring for him. But I don't know where he's gone. And my husband, I just said, have you talked to your dad? Because his dad, we got him a phone, but he keeps his phone here. And he said, no, but we need an air tag in his car. And I was like, I agree. I have not called anyone to say be on the lookout for him. I think he's probably gone to Elizabeth City, which is not a great idea, but I can't figure out where. I drove around downtown. I rode out to the house. I came back. I drove around downtown again. I drove by Food Lion. I didn't go by Farm Bureau. So Farm Bureau, if you're out there and you've seen Grandpa, give me a ring. Which essentially is small town life. And so that's what I'm talking about today. Lunch chat. Tuesday lunch chat. I've got Amos at school, which is great. We started a new medicine last week for his anxiety. So we were at 10 mLs every morning of memantine, but now we're at 15. And I think it's helping. I mean, he complained a little bit about going to school today, but he got out of the car. And last week, we had a really hard time. I had to call the teacher. I had to drag him out of the car. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I love his teachers, and I'm so appreciative. So yes, so last week we had an unfortunate incident at Food Lion. Amos and I were shopping. There was some people thought Amos was in danger or at risk and called the police. Now, I was really caught off guard with that. And I think everything has a paperclip, right? And so I had a really nice meeting this morning with the police chief and the town manager and the fire chief. And I said, you know, I wouldn't be honest if I didn't tell you that I was really struggling, particularly last week was really hard. We had to move out of an apartment in Raleigh. We're moving out of 2 houses. I have a 90-year-old living with me who needs his coat zipped, just like my 11-year-old needs a coat zipped. And I didn't even say this, but it's true. Like, all the signs are out for like signing up for baseball, and everybody's doing all this stuff. And it's stuff that I wish I was doing. And I have Amos, so I don't do those things. But it's kind of tricky. So last week we had gone to the grocery store, and that's like the thing that Amos and I could do, right? We go to the grocery store. And we were shopping, and Amos was away from me, which I allow because I'm building independence and I want the community to know, like, if there's a child that rolls on the floor, it's okay. Like, he has autism. Could I do a better job with him? Probably. Just like I could probably do a better job with these other people that live with me. And I'm not particularly always on top of them, but I'm really trying. But that day, you know, funny, when we got to the grocery store, we were out in the parking lot, and there was a woman there, and he said, there's Grandma. And I said, yeah, that's a grandma, but that's not, you know, your grandma. And he said, Grandma's all better. And so, like, there just was a lot happening. I was like, no, that, and the poor woman looked horrified, like, oh my gosh, like she thinks that I've come back from the dead. And I said, no. He said, Grandma's still in heaven. I said, that's right. So it just made me think, like, boy, there's so much happening, not only in my own mind and heart, but in Amos's mind and heart. Like, he's got 1 brother in college, 2 brothers at brother and sister in boarding school, and then he's got a grandfather that's moved in and taken over a television and sleeps, and we're always telling him to shush, and you know, this is just a lot happening. but we're making progress, you know, and it's a learning curve. And this weekend we did a last trip to Raleigh to get Grandpa out of the apartment, and we stopped and bought a gigantic television, 70 inches. And we put it downstairs in the garage, and we put a good rug down there and some chairs, and now Amos has his own space. Now, I don't love it because Amos is not up here with me, but again, we're just trying to figure things out so that we can all live harmoniously. And so I would say last week, living in this small town where we live in Edenton, it's about 5,000 people, has been the best experience. And if you've followed me, you know, for years, we're on our third police chief. Our first police chief used to bring the dog home in his patrol car, and he would be like, Clark, or then he learned to just say, Clark, go on home. And Clark would go home. She was always down at the park for like she would escape out the gate and go down there for, you know, fried chicken, whatever. I gotta change this. We get a lot of basement dwellers for some reason. I don't know why the basement dwellers don't have jobs, but the basement dwellers really like the YouTube. And then we just always had good experiences. At Halloween, the streets are closed off. Did you sell the pool table? No, we gave the pool table away. The pool table has a good home with someone that wants it, and we got rid of it. And the teenagers were like, you got rid of the pool table. But you know what? Not everybody gets to be first all the time. And in this case, it was more important for Amos to have a space than it was for the teenagers who are not here very often. So anyway, again, we're just making decisions, trying to really kind of survive at some point. So I recognize that I'm sensitive. I also think what I've learned this morning is that, like, recognizing, and I thought I knew this, but maybe I didn't, how much the police have to monitor and maintain, and and I hear this all the time, but I've never thought about it really this way, is everybody always says since COVID, things are different. And it's funny, they don't feel different for me personally. So I've always sort of shrugged off that concept, because my life has been the same. So before COVID, we couldn't take Amos anywhere. It was very difficult to do things with him. COVID happened. If anything, it was sort of a relief. I didn't have pressure needing to go somewhere. So that was sort of nice, you know. And now COVID's over, and we're back to kind of this life of, this life where everybody else is getting back to normal, and we're still in the same sphere of where do we fit and where do we go. And that is going to be a long term thing. So anyway, I think, you know, recognizing for other people this is different, and I think recognizing that it's hard to get police officers and firemen and people that want to work for the state. My father-in-law was a lawyer for the state and worked there for 40 years as an assistant attorney general. My husband was a public defender for 10 years, state employee, and it's valuable work. Can you make more money doing something else? Yes, you can. And I think that's a little bit of what happens. And so now these jobs that we're seeing as really amazing, they're having a hard time getting people. My oldest son has just asked me to pay him back for $63 for something he's applied for. My children like me to pay them. It's constant. I've never had to reimburse so many people for things like, can you pay me back for my haircut? I guess so, because I chose to give birth to you. I will be paying for haircuts until you're like, how old do I not have to pay for haircuts anymore? Just kidding. Nobody go crazy. I'm being facetious. He's in college. When he graduates, I'm not. I will not be paying for haircuts anymore. I promise you. So anyway, I recognize that, particularly in a small town where a policeman might get a call over homelessness, or they might get a call over domestic violence, maybe a shooting, and maybe a little boy at autism, or a mom that appeared to not be there, or they were worried. You get a call. How do you know what you're getting into? I mean, I've called the police, not a ton of times, but enough. I called 911 when my husband was like passed out in the shower and had to be airlifted a few years ago. Like, I called 911 a few months ago when I thought a person in front of me was drinking and driving because they were swerving so much. So I get that they get a lot of those calls. And I don't want them to waste time on calls that are dumb. I'd rather them focus on what's important. And I want to have a good relationship with people in my community, and I've really tried to do that. I think I talk about this, and it hurts people's feelings, and that's never my intention, and I never would want that to happen. I went through and I've written 17 times about my community, and at least, not even just minor things, but Santa comes by in the fire truck, I share it. Or yesterday I was writing, videoing Amos at McDonald's ordering cheeseburgers, and how nice the people are at McDonald's, and how they've just come to smile and speak to the person who takes his seatbelt off, rolls down his back window, insist on ordering, insist on giving the credit card, insist on getting the tea and the cheeseburgers. And I don't do that because it's easier for me. I do that because I want Amos to someday be able to go to McDonald's and order. And he's not there yet. But right now he can practice using drive-through. So I always want to support my community, because I think at the end of the day, this is the right community for us. I really do. I can't, and I recognize if I lived in Raleigh or Charlotte or somewhere, I would have access to way more activities for Amos, but how would I feel out in public? I would feel more on display than I do now. Um, yeah, what if he was in danger and the police didn't respond? Exactly. And I recognize that. I think that is important, and I want him safe. And years ago, Amos was 2, because he didn't have an autism diagnosis. He got out of our yard, and we were having a birthday party, and somebody left the gate open, and we had a trampoline kind of back around the corner of our yard. And I thought he loved to sit on the trampoline. I thought, well, he's on the trampoline. And when I went back there, he was gone, and the gate was open. And I, grabbed Thomas, yelled, and we flew out into the front yard. And when we walked in, we lived right downtown. Like, you could hit the drugstore with a tennis ball if you had good aim, which I do not. But we got out to the front yard, and the police were bringing Amos home. And 2 young ladies, Amos had crossed at least 2 streets to get to Blunt's. He wanted ice cream, and he was nonverbal, and it was terrifying, and I was ashamed. I was so appreciative that the right people found Amos, and that the police found Amos, and that no one scolded me, or, it was so nice, and I really appreciated that. And I guess that's, where I want to focus, is how much good is done. And I realize my platform is big, and it's bigger than Edenton. And if I say one thing, my followers go crazy. And I think it's hard not to be sensitive to that. If I'm going to be totally honest, I'm also sensitive to it. Where I live, I try to do a lot for my community, but I think sometimes my community sort of ignores me, or maybe they're not my paid subscribers, or people, it's like, well, I don't know. I feel sometimes like I'm treated a little bit like a pariah. Like, I can write all this positive stuff and nobody ever says Nobody ever shares it or says, hey, thanks for the positive message. It's just like, I'm invisible. And I don't want to be invisible. You know, I want to write good things, and um, I want my community to know that I do care about them, and that um, I feel slighted, you know, sometimes. And I understand that they feel slighted by me. So I apologize for that, because that is never my intention. I want people um, to learn from experiences, and I want to learn from experiences. Could Amos wear a bracelet or a tag? Yes, Amos could wear a lot of different things. I mean, I've thought about that. Could Amos wear a shirt? I feel okay now. You know, another thing that I should have done, and we used to when he was really little, we would go to the fire station and we would go to the police station, and we try to be out. We try to live a life out loud. You know, I've got this book coming out. Where's the darn book? I don't even know what it is. It's hiding. Because I want the world to be better, not because I need attention or pity, but I want somebody out there to not feel so alone. Um, and I think sometimes social media, I mean, today we were talking about it, like all the negatives of social media. You know, you could take one little thing and it could blow up, and then it hurts people's feelings. And that's not why I do social media. And for me, social media has been positive, and not because it's a career as much as it's helped me so much. And I have had so many people reach out and say, boy, you need to see a psychiatrist. You might want to look into medicine for Amos. And I think, oh my gosh, or you should apply for the waiver. That's like, if you have a child with a disability, there's the waiver for unmet needs. Like, I had no idea about those things. And maybe because I live in a small town, or maybe not, but I didn't know. And so my job is to always share what I've learned and know, so other people's lives are better. Yeah, a few weeks ago, I walked downtown in the snow and was showing the businesses. And when I have my big weekend here, I have 200 people coming this spring. You know, it would be easier to not do my weekend in Edenton. It would be easier to do it in Raleigh. People could fly in. They wouldn't need to rent a car or get a driver. But I like it in Edenton. I like that people get to see this town that I love. And I like to support the economy. And I love that, you know, when I was walking in the snow a few weeks ago, the police chief passed me, and then he backed up and he said, hey, I haven't met you. I'm, you know, I'm David or whatever. I'm the chief, and I want you, I want to talk to you about your weekend. I want it to go smoothly. And it was like, wow, that really went a long way. You know, like, it was nice to have some acknowledgement of like, I know you're trying to do a lot. Because I'm human. I need that too. I see the mailman Tony, and then I see a woman that she walks a lot. I mean, there's something about exercise, and then there's something about maybe just too much exercise. I'm giving up exercise for Lent. I'm not perfect. You know, I've never claimed to be. And if I've learned anything about not being perfect, it's when I came to belong to an Amos. And I am aware of that. And, you know, if that happened today, if I was at the Food Lion and somebody called the police and the police came in, I would probably be ready to handle it a totally different way. I would probably be like, thank y'all for coming and calling. I'm okay. Let me tell you a little bit about what we were doing. And I didn't do that. I was on the defensive. Because I was already hurt over lots of other things that had nothing to do with that. You know, so my mother just said, do you think Tom could be at the churchyard? No, I don't think why would he be at the churchyard? No, he likes church, but we're going for the pancake supper tonight. Now, what is that? Honor, quiet. Quiet. That's Tony the mailman. So there you have it. A day in the life. A day in the life. We have an eye appointment today at 1:45 for Grandpa. If I can't find Grandpa, I'm going to have Blair go and fill in his place because it's very difficult to get an eye appointment. And I wanted him to get an eye appointment because he needs some glasses. And I said, don't you need glasses? Well, my insurance didn't cover them last time or something. It's like, well, we are going to ask Tony if he's seen Grandpa. Grandpa has the car. I'm wondering if Grandpa is in Elizabeth City. If I had to guess, I think that's where Grandpa is. But I mean, I'm not going to ride over to Elizabeth City. But Grandpa was really excited about today and meeting these furniture people because Grandpa has a story about every single thing that they're looking at. And I want him to have a chance to tell them because it'll probably help us sell things for more. Do we need to issue a silver alert? Oh my gosh, he would be horrified.
I don't want to do the eye appointment.
You don't want to do the eye appointment?
No. Russell will.
Russell will do the eye appointment. I think Russell had an eye appointment recently. I just had one. I don't think you've had one in a year.
I don't need one.
Put an air tag on his car. Yes, I know. I bought the air tags. In fact, where are they? Let's see here. Where are the freaking air tags? I promise, I'm doing the best I can. I really am. I have air tags. I don't know where they are. It's right here. Oh, is this them? Yeah. That was the bank calling. But anyway, Zorro. Yeah, my father-in-law calls himself Zorro. Slip one in his wallet. No, he has his own car. So anyway. What does this say? Where do you get ear tags? I ordered them on Amazon. We're worried. See, that's the good thing about being in a small town. One time Grandpa was at the grocery store and somebody called me and said, I'm worried he's lost. I was like, oh, he hadn't lost. He's just at Food Line getting orange juice and tomato juice and bananas and tomatoes and ice cream. That's what he likes to go get at the grocery store. In fact, I introduced, when I spoke to the Food Line manager, I said, I'm really sorry that I need to be more proactive. And I feel like I was better when Amos was little and cute, but like, I need to keep going by the fire department or the police department and say, hey, let me make sure everybody knows Amos, knows me. That's, I think, a really good idea. And I said to the manager, like, I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself to you before now. But I said, FYI, there's also an older gentleman that belongs to me, and he's almost 90, and he wears a hat. So if you see him in Food Line, just also know that he's mine too. And he kind of giggled. So here's to small towns, and here's to good care and people that really do care, and making sure that, I always push the positive because that is my goal. And I'm always sorry if I have hurt anybody or made anybody feel attacked, because that is never my intention. And it's always better to act not out of a place of hurt, but out of a place of kind of calming down. So anyway, very appreciative. I think the police also know Grandpa, so they are on to Grandpa. We talked about him today too. So, and recognizing, that what I do in a small town feels probably a little invasive and daunting. And, just wanting my small town to know that I've got your back. And I want you to know that, and know that I need you too. I need you to support me, and be proud that I'm here and that I'm hopefully doing the best I can too. Because I love Edenton. In fact, I might not want as many people to move here because the property prices keep going up. Carry on, I'm off to find people. Goodbye.